Alright, first video for this channel. Starting it out with a Superheavy Samurai Deck Profile I got for you. And I'm going to start this deck profile with the monsters that are used basically as equip cards. And to start that out, I run 3 Superheavy Samurai Soulfire suits, because these can be used from your hand to protect any of your monsters. Super heavy samurai monsters at least, and it's very helpful because you don't have back row to protect them. So this you can use straight from your hand, so it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect for the rest of the turn. Next, I run 3 Soul Piercers because it allows you to do piercing damage to your opponent when it's equipped to the monster. And also it's good because when sent from the field to the graveyard, it becomes a searcher. So you can add any super heavy samurai card from your deck to your hand, which is very helpful. Next, I'll run 2 gauntlets. You use this from your hand to double your super heavy's defense, which is very helpful for doing OTKs, which I've done multiple times using this card if you get lucky enough to draw it. And it's just helpful in general because if you have a low monster you want to stay out, you can double its defense to make it harder to be destroyed. Next is 1 wall, because it's just helpful in general to increase your super heavy's defense by 1200 defense, which is a lot of defense to do damage to increase a weak monster's defense to high. And next I'll run 1 necklace or soul beads, which is helpful again because you don't have back row. It allows your monster to not be destroyed by card effects once per turn. And the final equip style card I'll run is 1 Soul Claw, because it increases their attack and defense by 500, which is just a nice small boost. But also what I really like for this card is the plays you can do with it, because you can equip it to the monster from your hand and you can special summon it back out, which is very helpful because that gives you an extra special summon during a turn and makes synchro plays much faster. Next, for non-super heavy samurai monsters, I run 1 monk, because if you can get him out and in a defense position, it'll be helpful because your opponent won't be able to activate their monster's effects. And next, I'll run 1 cyber dragon, and I like to use that because this whole deck is machines, which will give you the ability to bring out chimera tech, which can be very powerful if you use enough monsters. The next, starting with the super heavy samurai regular non-equipped monsters, I run 2 Giggle Gloves, because it's helpful to defend yourself as you can negate an attack. Well, not negate, but it makes the opponent's monster's attack 0, which basically negates the attack. And it helps you reorganize the top of your deck when it's sent to the graveyard. You mean look at the top 5 cards, put them in any order you want, which is very helpful. So you can set up what you want next. And next I will run 3 magnets, because this allows you to get out you summon him and you still summon another super heavy samurai in defense position if you want. And then he's put in defensive position and your opponent can only attack him. So if you manage to get 2 out on the field, you lock your opponent from attacks. Next, what you really definitely need to run 3 of is super heavy samurai scales. Because when he is normal or special summon, you get special summon a super heavy monster from your graveyard that's level 4 or lower, which is nice to bring back tuners or maybe another level 4 for an XYZ if you like to run lots of XYZs in this deck. Next is Flutist. I run 3. He's really needed because you can just normal summon him out and tribute to special summon a super heavy from your deck, which I often use to get out Benki. And he is a good defense for your monsters because when he's in your graveyard, if your opponent targets one of your super heavies for an effect, you can banish him to negate the effect. Next, I run 2 Swordsmen, because when he's out on the field, whenever your opponent's monster attacks one of your super heavy, any of your super heavy samurai monsters, it makes their attack and defense become 0. So it's very helpful because it kind of annoys your opponent and stops them. It makes them not want to use their powerful monster's attack because they don't want their powerful monster's attack and defense to become 0. Next, I run 2 Blue Brawlers because he can't be destroyed by battle, so it's very nice for stalling and keeping yourself alive. And then I'll run 1 prepped defense. Because even if you have no monsters in the field, when you take damage, you can bring them straight up from your hand for an extra defense that turn to keep you alive for another turn. Because again, without back row, you need these hand effects. And for pendulums, I just run 1 Corel. I don't run 3 because with this deck, these pendulum monsters you don't really use to pendulum summon. They're mostly for their pendulum effects, at least that's what I use them for. Because with him, if I believe right, he can make it so one of your super heavy samurais can make 2 attacks in 1 turn. So if you have Benki out with 3,500 defense, he's very nice to put out some big damage to your opponent. And for the other pendulum, I'll run 2 General Jades. Because I love his pendulum effect where you can increase one of your super heavy samurai's level by 1. And I use that because it gives you a lot more leniency on synchro summoning. Like when you use Battle Ball to steal one of your opponent's monsters, you can increase Battle Ball's level so you can take a larger variety of monsters. And next, I will run 2 Super Heavy Samurai Thieves, because I love using him to steal my opponent's back row, because it's very helpful to take their back row cards, which it annoys them, and in general, it just gives it the back row card to you, so you can use the spell or trap whenever you want. Hopefully it'll be something like Solemn Warning, and if you take something like that, it's very helpful, and it generally annoys your opponent, which is really funny. And then, of course, I run 3 Big Benkis. Other than the extra deck, he's the only hitter in the main deck, because none of the other monsters are really powerful to attack. And he allows all your super heavies to attack while in defense position. And then I'll run 2 Giant Rats. And really, the Giant Rat is just to get Benki straight out from your deck. And even though he has to be put in attack position, when Benki is summoned, he is switched to defense position, so you don't have to worry about him getting hurt. Now to the tuners, which will finish up the main deck. I run 2 Drums. I like it because when he's destroyed, you can special summon Super Heavy from the graveyard. And it doesn't even have to be a low level. It can be Big Benki or one of your high level extra deck Super Heavies. Or what I really like to do with him is bring out Super Heavy Samurai Scales. Because when he's special summoned, you get to bring out another Super Heavy from the graveyard, so you can go straight for a large synchro play that turn. Next, I'll play 3 Trumpeteers. He's very helpful because with this deck, you don't run any spells or traps, or else it'll screw up a lot of your plays. And with Trumpeteer, you can just special summon him out, which is very helpful. And also, if he's tributed for the tribute summon of a Super Heavy, which I often will use to tribute summon for Big Benki. Because if you tribute him and one other, and he's sent to the graveyard, you can bring him right back if he's used for the tribute summon. And you can use him with Big Benki that turn to get out Susanoo, which is the main guy you really want to go for in the end. And the final cards for the main deck, which will finish up the tuners, is 3 Battle Balls. I love this card because it can steal your opponent's monsters and use them to make your synchro super heavy samurais, which is lovely because you can take a large variety. I've even taken, for example, Beals is a very tough card to get around, but if I'm remembering correctly, you can take Beals with Battle Ball and use them to make Susanoo, which will really annoys your opponent. Now for the extra deck. I run 3 Warlords because he's actually not too hard to make with using Battle Ball and having the Trumpeteer. And his effect is great because 3,800 defense, because all these attack while in defense position, 3,800 defense is a lot of damage, and your opponent, it's tough for some decks to get over that amount of attack. Well, I guess defense in this case. And once your turn, during either player's turn, you can steal a spell or trap from your opponent's graveyard, but it's banished when it leaves the field. So that's great for taking all of your opponent's stuff and setting yourself up with back row. Like, I once took a Regeki, and that's very helpful to take because then you can just use it whenever you want. Next, I'll run 2 Kyubis. I would run 3, but 2 is really enough because I don't go into him that often. But his defense is increased for each special summon monster your opponent controls, which with mini decks such as Pendulums can make his defense greatly increase very fast. And like all the other big super heavy samurai monsters, he can attack while in defense. And the final super heavy samurai monster I run in the extra deck is 3 Ogres, because he is very easy to make, because he just requires one of your level 2 tuners and a level 4, which is a lot of the deck. And when he's synchro summoned, he can destroy your entire opponent's backfield, which is very helpful because he's basically a heavy storm, and the heavy storm doesn't affect you because you don't run spells or traps. And he can also attack in defense position like the others. Then I'll run 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, just because he's a helpful card to get around in those sticky situations when your opponent has out something big. If you can get out Black Rose Moonlight, you can just send that back to the hand. Then I'll run Naturia Barkion, because 6s are quite easy to make, and it's helpful to have Barkion to negate your opponent's backfield cards. And then for the final synchro, I'll run 1 High Speed Kendama, because again with the level 6s he's easily made, and I like to banish the machines from my graveyard to start to destroy my opponent slowly with 500 attack each turn. Then for the XYZs, I run 1 number 55, because when you get him out, he increases all of your monsters' defense by 800, which with super heavies you really want that, because then that means even more damage when you're attacking. And then I'll run Castel the Skyblast Musketeer, because again he's only for those sticky situations when you're having a monster that's tough to get around. Just bring him out and send it back to the hand. And then the final monster is Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, which, as I showed earlier, since this whole deck is machines, you can easily make him if you get out the Cyber Dragon and get him to very high attack. Alright, and that is it for my deck. Thank you for watching my first video on this YouTube channel, and I'll probably bring up more as I do have a large group of Yu-Gi-Oh players I play with, and we will be doing many more deck profiles. Thanks for watching.